Our 11 Investigates team reported on sexual assault allegations, as it were. It uncovered inside dorms on Cedar Point property in early May.
Since then, city and park officials have refused to sit down with us to answer our questions until recently, when Erie County prosecutor Kevin Baxter spoke to us.
Lead investigator Brian Duggar has that story.
My life as a CP screamster.
And then I woke up to me projectile vomiting into a trash can.
Blacklight makeup.
They had like stopped, but they were like still like waiting for me to finish throwing up so that way they can continue or whatever. And then that was the last thing I remember.
Police records show 29 sexual assault allegations since 2017 inside the Cedar Point employee dorms.
That's too many. You know, it's too many.
Only one accuser has received justice.
The criminal justice system is unforgiving as far as the amount of evidence you need to prove in any case. And sexual assault cases are very difficult in and of themselves to prosecute and to convict offenders.
11 Investigates and our Cleveland sister station, WKYC, went to Erie County prosecutor Kevin Baxter to find out why so few cases have gone to court.
They socialize, they party. A lot of times they involve very excessive drinking. So when they go back to the dorms, which they do voluntarily, you know, sometimes memories are faded, there's intoxication. It's very difficult at that time to sort through the evidence.
Since our investigation into sexual assaults at Cedar Point aired in early May, 2 women have gone before a grand jury seeking justice.
Afraid I was going to get fired.
Raven said she was raped after falling asleep. Kenzie told us that 2 co-workers raped her as she was throwing up into a garbage can. Both cases were no-billed, meaning there was no indictment and no justice.
Upset, sad, angry, but mostly upset because to them, they think they got off scot-free.
In every closed case we've been able to examine, alcohol was involved. Legally, that does not provide a free pass.
Usually if you're with someone, you might be able to judge how much they're drinking, and therefore the offender may then appreciate that she can't really give informed consent, if you will. But that's one of the criteria in a sexual battery case, where we have to prove that the offender knew that her ability to consent was impaired.
But in Kenzie's case, she provided photos of her being passed out by a drinking fountain. And in the police report, the suspect admitted Kenzie got sick, but that she appeared to be coherent. Baxter would only say that he was not familiar with her case and that a different prosecutor presented it to a grand jury.
The evidence was presented to a group of citizens, the conscience of the community, and we're not always happy with the result we get, but we many times have to accept it.
Now, Baxter was the first official we contacted in the spring about this series of stories. At that time, he said he was not aware that there were 10 sexual assault allegations last year alone in the dorms. But officials knew that there was a problem. 11 Investigates obtained an email from Tamara Kilbride, the county's sexual assault nurse examiner coordinator. That email discussed an attempt to provide free sexual harassment training to park supervisors and employees. There was no response.
I don't know, Brian, if they went and did their own in-house training. I'm not familiar with that. All I can say that we had offered it to them, like we do the schools and any other organizations that might be interested in that presentation, and we did not hear back from them.
Can you speak in a louder voice at this point and say, hey, you guys really need to take this seriously? Do you have the power or the influence to be able to do something like that?
Well, I think that's what I'm doing right here.
Cedar Point did not respond to a request for comment.
Something that might have been reported.
Sarah Reynolds is the director of Erie County's Victim Assistance Program. She's frustrated by the assaults, and she hopes that Cedar Point will allow her team to be more involved in preventing them.
I would love to have the opportunity to speak to them, to speak to the employees and have the opportunity to be able to get in there. And, through our SANE unit coordinator, Tamara Kilbride, she does an amazing job, and her presentations are just by far awesome. So to give us the opportunity to get in there and to help these individuals and to make sure that they're aware of all their things to be looking for.
In 16 of the cases uncovered by 11 investigates, victims walked away, choosing, for whatever reason, to give up on prosecution.
And
For Kinsey, she went through the entire process, and now she's left with fear and anger. Fear for those workers who continue to party on the weekends and trust that they are in a protected environment. Anger about her elusive justice.
And that puts other people in jeopardy because that can happen to someone else again this year and next year and the following years if they continue to come back to Cedar Point. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, I didn't get the justice that I know I deserved. I didn't.
Now, during our interview, Kevin Baxter touted what he said was Erie County's 40% success rate in getting sexual assault indictments. He was not able to explain how only one Cedar Point accuser has received justice. He did, however, say that he was willing to look at some of these cases again. We're going to continue to follow this story.
And Brian, in an earlier story you did on former Cedar Point human resources workers, they told you there was little sexual harassment training. So just to make this point clear, you are saying the county offered to provide training for Cedar Point employees.
Absolutely. We were provided an email from 2019 involving a meeting between county and park officials, and we were actually sent the PowerPoint presentation that they were going to use. Cedar Point did not take the county up on its offer. In fact, they didn't even respond. Now, we emailed the park, and they also did not respond.
Brian, also, did the prosecutor have a message to victims who might say, what's the point?
Yeah, he really did. He said that they're going to do everything they can to investigate and let victims have their day in court. But he also says it's important for some of these victims to take advantage of the counseling services that the Victims Advocate Program can provide. Reporting live in studio tonight, this is Brian Duggar for WTUL 11.